Hey folks, Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is Operation Cool Summer Round 12 summary. 3 rounds left to play. If we're going to go to 15, every single purchase, every single maneuver counts. And if I was going to give a bonus point to the nation that had maybe the best round, and that would be Italy, we'll pan over and we'll find out what Italy did last turn. Well, they are now positioned to be a can opener in the Middle East and open some pathways and maybe secure some of these victory objectives, which are oil territories here in the Middle East. They currently have 2 light tanks, a cavalry, a couple mechs, and airborne. And so, yeah, they're in position here. But what they did do is they've done the last few rounds build up their navy. And why did they want to build up their navy as well? They want to project at least equal power in the Mediterranean as the Allies and start to force them to either choose to build navy or ground units. But the primary focus for them is to be able to drop off Italian and German units on the western flank of the British who are protecting Cairo. There's currently nothing in Tobruk, Carinthia, Tripoli, or Libya, the Italian territories, or even Alexandria. So the Italians did build a couple transports last turn, and the start of the next round, those 2 transports, if the Germans and the Italians agree, can become part of the Kriegsmarine for 1 round of gameplay, and that means they can grab a couple armor, infantry, artillery, and go drop them off anywhere they like over here in North Africa and start to force the Allies to turn around. So we'll see how that plays out. Over here in the Atlantic, the Americans just built a tactical bomber, a couple more armor and infantry, and a couple transports. There's still a massive standoff here happening in Western Europe. The Germans are determined to get their essentially a wall point, which is at least 5 ground units in every territory in Western Europe. So they're just building as many ground units as they can. And we'll see if that is achievable, because the Allies, they've got quite a few units here in London. The British are still building in London next turn just to keep the Germans honest from attempting a sea line. But this is the combined American, British, Canadian, and Portuguese Navy that could drop off any one of these Western territories. So we'll see what happens. So for the Germans to get this point, they've got to defend Bordeaux, Normandy, Reims, Holland, Western Germany, Denmark, and also Oslo. So that's not easy to get minimum 5 ground units, but also be able to withstand an attack and still have those ground units remaining. So we'll see if that's even achievable for the Germans. But the Germans are positioned here now, ready to at least start really making some headway. They've got 3 turns left to get to Cairo or to secure as many of the oil territories as they can, which also include the 2 territories in Saudi Arabia, which are also oil territories. We'll evaluate and we'll see which of the options is the best for Germans. Of course, the British and the Americans are sitting here in Transjordan, ready to halt the German advancement towards Cairo. It's a bit of a standoff right now. We'll see who gets the upper hand. The British have been very smart. They've got a couple military bases here in Lower Egypt and also Upper Egypt, producing 1 infantry a turn, and also they're shucking units here from South Africa up as reinforcements. The Americans are ready to come around the horn next turn of South Africa and drop off another 4 units of their own. So the American Navy, it's a little bit split here. I did go into the Med. The rest of it is just here as a guard for Calcutta, but also to keep the Japanese transports honest from swinging around the horn. If the Japanese want to come and take a poke at Calcutta, they can with their navy. However, they're going to have to commit. They're going to have to send more than just a few boats, because the Americans have a battleship, destroyer, submarine, torpedo boat, and a subchaser in defense. So The Japanese over here, they've got a couple transports hiding off of the Dutch East Indies with one destroyer. And the Japanese and the FEC are kind of at a stalemate here in KMT territory. We'll see who wants to, basically neither side is really spending a lot right now. They're both kind of content spending resources elsewhere. The FEC with their military bases now, they are trying to at least stop the German advance and Italian advance from getting into India as they commit sending a few units west every turn. However, the FEC did go into Burma last round, pretty heavy. They've got at least 20 units there, and the Japanese only have about 10 units defending Siam, maybe 12. So we'll see. What do the Japanese do? They can't ignore Siam, because if they lose Siam, definitely the British should be coming down to Singapore. So definitely the Japanese have to be mindful of the British making a play with the FEC for Siam and Singapore. So do these units up here come down as reinforcements? We'll see. But currently, the Japanese Navy has positioned itself, and it's not, whoever has the last build has the upper hand, and the Japanese go next. So they are going to have a build, and these units here that were built off Tokyo last turn are going to slide down, which means defensively they are going to be stronger than the Americans. But last round, the Americans reinforced over here off of the coast of Marshall Islands, and they currently now have a B-29 and a couple more, an aircraft carrier, a battleship. See, that's 4 battleships now. So the Americans right now are stronger in defense. They will not be able to attack the Japanese next turn. But they are building Navy and another B-29. The Canadians and the British are building units in Western Canada, and there's currently now a British destroyer and transport sitting off the coast of Marshall Islands. The Americans did build a naval base in Lean Islands to help speed up the advancement of these 2 Portuguese and British transports that are coming from the Atlantic. And over here, the Anzac did build another destroyer last turn, and they moved their navy over here off of the coast of Northern Australia to project their power and sort of, do the Allies make a play for the Philippines? Do they start taking these money islands? Because whatever they build next turn, the Americans, is the last build they're going to have to get as many, if they want to build ground units to make it over here, next round is the last turn that is going to happen. So what is the American strategy? What is the Anzac strategy? What is the FEC strategy to try and take back as many of the victory points and objectives from the Japanese and the South Pacific here as possible? They've thought about making a play for the Philippines. The Americans maybe could take it next turn. However, the Japanese with their transports, they would just go back up to Tokyo and grab all those guys up there and come and take it back. So Philippines, even though it's there, it is sort of off the table right now. So we'll see. I'm going to have to put my thinking cap on in this one. It's going to be one heck of a finish, and we will see who comes out on top. I'm calling it now a draw. So thanks for watching, folks.